if we lived at home, we had to go to church. So that was a rule, and I didn't have any money to move out yet, so I had to go to church. And the first Sunday that this was open, it was at Jacobs High School, and we were there for that first Sunday, my mom and I. For years, I would come because I had to, and the Spirit would work on me. So I entered a Bible study through the church, and in this Bible study, there were probably, I'd say, 20 people, and 13 people in that Bible study gave their lives to Jesus. And so it was just a huge work of the Lord in that Bible study. And I was the last one. I was the last holdout. If I had eyes to see, the Spirit was around me and pressing in on me and influencing me. I could not get away from the Spirit in this Bible study. And then afterwards, it was at my brother's house, and he was an elder here at the time. He asked if I could stay afterwards and talk to me, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to get out of there as quickly as I could, and about 3 hours later, I was done. I was done running from Jesus, gave my life to Jesus. So now I'm walking with Jesus. I start having a family. They get some roots growing. They start having friendships, so they have like a horizontal connection to the people and their peers here. Their roots are growing deep, and now they are raising their kids here. So I see what God has done in my life here. Then I see my girls. I see what the church has done through God, like not without God. I'm just saying God has used this church in their lives.
So I think growing up in a church, there can be potential to get stuck in a kid category forever. But my experience was growing up here that the older I got and the deeper I grew in my faith, I was always able to go the next step. There was always an opportunity for me to make the church my own and find my identity and ownership in Fox Valley being my own home church instead of it being my mom's church that I had to attend as a house rule. We go to church every Sundays.
Fox Valley is abounding with children, so it's very easy to see, there's definitely light in the future. But all these families that are pouring in, there's so many kids. Journeyland is so fun. They're learning the basics. And it's just so cool to watch these kids, sit down in the cafe and actually have like real biblical conversations as such young kids.
So we were looking for a local church, and when we found Fox Valley, we thought, well, this is a good place to start. And once we started, there were a lot of young families. And I think what excites me is to just see the potential for the future generations. And the area has grown incredibly. So there's just that many more people to reach and to serve. And I just see the potential is huge. And for our kids and grandkids that are also here, the ability to just reach out into the community and bring more people, here to learn about Christ is, that's just exciting.
I was 18 when we moved into this current church building. I was a senior in high school. And, I always felt like I belonged. It was easy for me to believe that Jesus loved me and God loved me because I saw that through his people at Fox Valley.
I feel like as we've had kids, as we've brought kids into the church, as we've seen them grow, there's been that just support system. And yeah, we do have family here. We've got Katie's parents here, but there are other people in the church that have come alongside us that have been there as resources, support.
I want that for my kids. I want this to be a faith that continues, not just while they're at our house, but throughout their lives, that they don't fall away when they grow up and they go other places. And I think that so much of the community and everything here helps that faith to stick, to know that, okay, mom and dad aren't the only ones who believe this, but I have friends whose parents believe that, and I see them walking it, and it might look a little bit different, but I'm seeing faith lived out in a lot of lives, not just my family's.
I think it's really important how much Fox Valley does invest in the kids, that they know that they're the future, and you can tell and see it, that they, with the leaders and the volunteers, they just pour into these kids, and our kids love coming every week, and they tell us every time in the car all that they did, and they have such excitement and joy over it. So for them to have that passion at such a young age from Fox Valley has been really encouraging.
With me growing up here, I didn't really choose to come here, but what's kept my heart here has been the student ministries, really. Because growing up, there was a long season in my faith where part of my heart was God's, but part of it wasn't, and I was living just in a way that didn't honor him. So being a part of youth group was a huge impact for me when I was living in a way that wasn't honoring to God. Just knowing that I was constantly, like weekly, around people that cared about God, that made me think like, oh, I should care about God. And once I started realizing God's convictions on the ways that I was living that weren't honoring to him, the fact that I was around those people helped me to start listening to those convictions, and then it helped me to live out those convictions.
God is working in our student ministry. We need more space to add, students into our ministry so we can continue growing and continuing ministering to this community.
I love being here. I love being involved with Journeyland and with youth group, and I love babysitting for so many of the families and just being part of so many lives and seeing Jesus work in so many ways. And I just couldn't imagine living in this area and not coming to church here.
It excites me because it shows that there's a lot more people coming to our church, and that shows growth in Christianity and our church in general, which makes me happy because it means more people's lives are getting saved by Christ.